You're listening to The Dating Den with dating and relationship badass and best-selling author Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important dating, sex, and relationship issues you want to know about. So if you're ready for true talk that's authentic and unfiltered, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
The Dating Den, episode 18 with Irene. How to make sure you are selective when you are dating. Without being so picky, you die alone with 10,000 cats. Hey, ladies, welcome back to The Dating Den. And I know that you are loving these coaching conversations. We're getting so many emails saying, it's me, it's just like me. And so I think that you are going to love talking to Irene today. She is very, very, very smart. She's super successful. She's created a lot of amazing things in her life. And she's really looking for, a relationship with her equal. She's looking for an extraordinary guy, a guy of integrity and authenticity, a guy who keeps his word. She wants her soulmate and her best friend. The problem is she feels like once she sort of shows up in this powerful way that is her, with her knowledge about a lot of business things, she feels like men back off, and she wants to make sure she's coming off as feminine because she doesn't want to be what she calls chronically single anymore. So welcome into the den, Irene.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here. You're so ready to find out what's holding you back around the masculinity, huh?
Yes, correct.
So tell me, when you think of how you are when you're sort of in that business mode, like making deals and kind of being decisive and kind of rocking it. How do you describe yourself when you're in that space?
I'm firm, direct, and I say things how they are. I am from New York, born and raised, so that has something to do with the strength that I speak when I'm in a business deal or talking from business. It's always that power play. And I think that that's what's scaring a lot of men off. They do that with their groups of investors or whatever they're doing in their field, and then when they come speak with a woman about it, they don't always like it. That's what I'm getting, but you're the expert here, so.
Well, and the reason why I asked you about those things is, so when you go on a date with a guy, I mean, how do you view dating? I mean, when you're sitting there and a guy's, across the table from you, how do you go into the date? What are your thoughts? What are your beliefs? What are you looking for?
I am looking for a very strong man, as you said initially, integrity, authenticity, responsibility. Someone who is very strong in who he is. He's secure in who he is, and can be authentic and strong, or he can be laid back at the same time. And one of the things that I'm getting also is I was raised by grandparents, so my grandfathers were powerful men, and sometimes I think maybe that's what I'm looking for, and that's included in it. So depending on how they are is how I respond to them. If they act powerful, I'll speak powerful back to them. Maybe I need to not be so much and be cognizant of that, but I'm not really sure.
Well, so here's what's interesting, and here's why I sort of ask you that question, because so many women, and I think you use the kind of words, and I probably planted them a little bit, but, it's like, I go on a date and, it's my time and my time is really valuable. And so I'm on this date and I'm really looking for, and I'm interested to know, when you look at a business deal or when you're looking at something in your work, what kind of beliefs, attitude, what do you kind of bring to that when you're doing that, due diligence, so to speak?
I'm not sure I'm clear on what you're asking me.
Well, when you're in a business deal and you're kind of doing due diligence, when you're doing research, when you're looking for things, what's sort of the energy or the beliefs that you bring to that situation?
All the due diligence have to equal fact and truth, not something maybe, coulda, shoulda, or it can be. It has to be just so what it is.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so here's what I want to draw as a parallel for you, is that my intuition tells me that that exact same energy, right? Like, I'm looking for fact, I'm looking for truth. Tell me if you're the real deal. You are coming onto the dates with that same sort of intensity. And so part of that is that when you are with a powerful guy, because you want a powerful guy, right?
Yes. A presence and power, yes.
Yeah. So what happens is there's no polarity. You're going into that and you're like, you're powerful. I'm going to be powerful. And I'm going to do the research, and I'm here to find out if you're worth my time. And I'm kind of doing that same due diligence approach. So does that resonate for you? Do you feel like there's a parallel sort of energy for you?
Yeah, they can be. Absolutely.
Okay. So, and this is, I want to tell you, you're not alone. If you've listened to any of our other coaching episodes, you know, this is a really important piece of the puzzle, because we really want to be authentic, and you are being authentic. But my guess is that there's this feminine piece of you that for some reason you're not so comfortable bringing out, especially when you're around a powerful guy. So what does femininity mean to you? What do you think when I say, you know, being feminine? What does that look like?
It means being more girly, not so the powerful person in the workspace or just with knowledge. It's someone who's, you know, the pretty, what do you call the dessert that a man has on his arm, the pretty person, like that.
Okay. So where did you learn that feminine is girly girl and dessert?
I guess that was all my life. You know, I grew up, I did modeling for a number of years, and a lot of men looked at me as arm candy. And I didn't want to just be looked at as arm candy. I wanted to be looked at or valued as someone with, you know, knowledge, experience, and, you know, not just the pretty girl.
Okay. So and you were raised by your grandparents. So what did you learn? What did your role models sort of teach you about being feminine?
You know, be the girly girl, dress up in the girly girl clothes and your hair and all of that. And you know, you speak properly, you sit properly, you act properly. So the old school, I'm Italian, so the old school Italian way, a girl has to sit down and do exactly pretty much as somewhat of the man tells her to do.
Okay.
So that's how he's raised.
And that just sounds so not like you.
And it's exactly.
Okay.
I do it sometimes, but the automatic takes over of who I really am or how I naturally act.
Okay. So can I give you sort of like a more expanded version of being feminine?
Yes, please.
Okay. So first of all, feminine is not necessarily girly girl. You can be feminine and you can be wearing a pantsuit. You can be feminine and you can be wearing gym clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So feminine is really more of an energy of, I'm going to say, soft around the edges. And not necessarily, you know, physically, but that there's this softness, that there is this openness, that there is a pause, right? So not so much, because masculine energy is very much like goal-oriented, driven, very much focused on the result, very much not so much connection, but more result. Right. And so
yes.
when you're showing up on your dates in that energy, and we'll just call it masculine energy, it makes sense intellectually because you're trying to get shit done. Right. You're trying to go on the date. Right. You're going on the date and you're like, are you know, just come on, who are you, right? And so when a man is sort of experiencing that, he wants to be in a space of like, he's been working all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he wants that polarity. He wants that opposite. He wants a safe space where he can just relax, where he can feel heard, where he can move away from that result. He wants to feel that needed, that joy, that fun. So when you're out there on the dates and you're in that, like, show me who you are, let's get shit done. Do you think he feels like he's at work, or do you think he feels like he's on a date?
I think it's half and half, depending on what the conversation is. If it goes to work, then I become very work oriented. And if it's not, I can be very feminine, and with the pause around it, it can be fun and laughing and all of that. But there is a big part of me that is that way. When you said result based, I've gotten feedback that I'm high performance as just a person and who I am. So my high performance way is results based. So I can get what you're saying about that.
Right. So even when you're not talking about work, my guess is that in the core of your operating system, so to speak, you are trying to figure out if he's worth your time.
Yes, always.
Right. So there's still the focus on the result versus being present in the moment and actually enjoying it. Now, you might be enjoying it, but I'm being really picky here, right? Because when on paper everything seems like you should have a guy like easy peasy, no problem, but you're, as you said, chronically single, there's this unconscious stuff that's leaking out. So even though you're not talking about work and you're being fun and you feel like you're being feminine, my guess is that there's this piece of you that is really leading. Does that resonate for you at all?
So what I think I hear you saying is it's who I'm being in the conversation or on the date.
Absolutely. So tell me, so who do you think you're being on the date?
I'm being random. Again, it's whatever the conversation is, depending on what the question is or the conversation piece is how I react to it. So maybe if it's something that's going to be a power question, I'm going to answer it like that. Maybe he's just wanting to talk about it and just talk from him and just let it out. And I'm responding to him instead of just hearing what he's saying, maybe.
Well, right. And especially like in the course of like regular dating, someone might just say, so tell me what you do. Mm-hmm. Right. And so if you're getting on these conversations that are really work-based and you're really passionate, you're going on about it and you're getting animated and you're getting amped up and you're getting, there's a difference between being like assertive and being aggressive, so to speak. And my sense is I picture you from like just what I know from you so far, that you're like talking about it. You start like leaning forward over the table. You're Italian. You're like, getting really animated, right? And my concern,
yes and no.
Yes and no. So tell me.
Again, it depends on the conversation piece. I can sit there, lean back, and be confident and great, and it depends on what part of the conversation it is. There are times that I'm doing exactly what you're saying, and there are times that I'm just cool and chill, and depending on how the conversation's going, how the date is going, is how I'm reacting to it.
Okay, so here's your job. Here's your new homework assignment, is that I don't want you to like react based on how the date's going. I want you to decide, how am I going to show up on this date? So I'm going to be consistent, right? And then I'm going to make this dating experience not necessarily be about proving that I'm not that arm candy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Because if there's that core belief that you have that that you learned from your family, that's like, girls are meant to just, be pretty and be on their arm and, play along, so to speak, very old school, like you said. But if that's their core belief about what being feminine is, And because of what you shared with me, and you can explain further for the listeners about your early relationship and your dad not being there for you. My guess is when you kind of wrap all that in, there's that unconscious need to really show that you are just so much more than arm candy.
Yeah, that can be a lot. Yeah, what I shared was the other part of that was, my father left when I was 2, so there was always, which I just got to distinguish for myself, was that I'm not valuable or worthy, or a man is going to leave me. So I guess there's a protection mode of me to see quickly, are you worth it? Are you going to leave me? Do I need to put time in this? Are you going to leave later? So that, I guess, my protective barrier comes up as well. And that would be part of, the who I am. Well, I'm this person, I'm strong. So that's another protection barrier, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time.
Yeah. So what happens is that I call them boxing gloves. Right. And so you might even be sitting there leaning back, at that moment in the conversation. And so your boxing gloves aren't up around your chin, right? You're not like ready to strike.
Mm-hmm.
But they're there, and like, I don't know if you've ever boxed, but they're like down, they're like up, when you're shifting back and forth kind of around your shot, you're like, all right, man, if I need these, I totally got it.
I guess you can say that. So you're saying I got them on, I just don't got them up.
Exactly. Right. And so if you sense someone who's like possibly, where you need to protect or defend yourself, then you're going to put them up really, really carefully, and you're going to just assess the situation. But a really strong guy, like a quality guy, who's got masculine energy, but he's also emotional and he's sensitive. That guy wants someone who can at times know how to lean into her feminine and be his opposite. Doesn't mean all the time, because a really quality guy wants a really smart, assertive woman, a powerful woman. He wants her to be able to take that down, to just take off the boxing gloves completely.
Okay. So that's some work for me to do, because that's like, okay, now unprotected, that can lead to a lot of risk and like emotions or pain or something in that regard.
Okay. You just hit the golden jackpot. You're like, that can lead to a lot of emotions. What scares you about that? What scares you about like being vulnerable, about feeling all those feelings?
Think again, if he's going to leave, I'll put in all these emotions, things can be great, and then one day he just decides to leave and go.
Okay. So what you need to do is create what I call emotional safety for yourself.
Okay. What does that look like?
Okay. So intellectually, and you and I talked about this, and I think this is really important conversation for everyone who's listening, because a lot of you have done the work. You have the T-shirt, you read the book, you did the class, right? Where you're like, I understand why I have these issues about people leaving. And you totally have done that. You have done a shitload of work on knowing that, this comes from your stuff with your dad, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of my mentors, Mary Morrissey, says, information without action is entertainment. Right? So, like, the question for you is, what does emotional resiliency look like? So what would it take for you to understand that if it's not a match, if he leaves, you are safe?
That's something to work on. I had my story through all the years that a man was going to leave me, and through the years my father left. Then, for example, when I was younger, my brother ran away, he left, and then my grandfather, who raised me, he died. So I had all the evidence that every man was going to leave me. So I always saw it as emotional pain. I don't know if that makes sense to your question.
It does. So you have a core belief that emotional pain, is that sadness? What is it that you're afraid of feeling?
Being left alone.
What's the feeling?
Nobody there.
Okay, what's the feeling associated with that?
Fear of pain, of like a knot in your throat, like you can't breathe, like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? Not knowing.
So scared?
Yes, scared, absolutely.
Scared. So scared, out of control.
Yes.
Sad.
Not being protected.
Okay. So here's what's really interesting is that you're afraid of being scared. You're afraid of being unprotected. You're afraid of being left. But when you are attached to that fear, you are actually alone.
Yes. I hear it, but I don't get it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So when you say you don't get it, explain more about what you mean.
I hear the words that you're saying, but I don't get it to the point of that I can connect it to the emotion or the sadness or the scare and say, okay, this is what it is to really be connected to that this is the fear is just fear or not real or whatever. So I hear the words you're saying, but the emotion part of it, I'm not connecting with.
And is that a pattern that you've had in your life, like not really being connected to your feelings, to the emotion part?
Oh no, I'm very connected to them. That's why I'm very very emotional. So I'm very much connected to them. But from what you just said, I hear it, but I don't connect it that is what my emotions are.
So when you talk about, but your fear is of being left, right? Because in your past, right, you were left.
Yes.
Okay. So you're afraid of being left and being alone, right? And being out of control.
Yes.
But here's the thing. You are alone.
Right. I get that I'm alone. I'm alone with knowing that I'm alone. It's different when I get into a relationship and get very connected or attached to someone and have a lot of emotions, and then they just decide to leave. Boom.
Okay. Right. So, and that goes back to that piece around emotional resiliency. So when you were younger and those people left, you were ill-equipped to get your needs met, to meet your own needs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So
I was 2, probably 15 and 23.
Okay. Right. So you were really young. So when you're really connected to that, what it really is that's that emotion, that the emotional child is afraid of being left again.
Okay.
Right? There's the part of you that gets triggered when you're out on those dates and you're afraid of sitting back and being vulnerable and being open is because the person who's showing up on the dates is that emotional child. She's that little girl. And there's no way that little girl is going out into the middle of the street without her boxing gloves on because she doesn't want to get her ass kicked.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's true.
Okay. So what would it look like for you? What would it mean to be an emotional adult? How would you be different? What would you need to feel emotional safety?
Be somewhere that I'm maybe not attached to a specific outcome, and whatever happens is okay. And the emotions that are going to come up, they will, because we're human, that I can maybe deal with them and not, I guess, automatically or subconsciously go into the little girl, as you're saying that I'm being.
So being an emotional adult is, and this is really an important piece, is having a mindfulness and an awareness that really that pain is sort of part of life, right?
And that's what I'm resisting, the pain part. I don't want to deal with that anymore.
I know, but here's the thing. If you're not, so there's a belief here that you're going to die, right? Emotionally die from being someone leaving. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're having a visceral cellular reaction from the experience.
Wait. What is a visceral cellular? I'm not clear on
like
that.
Like a visceral, like it's in your body. You're having a body experience.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Of the pain that you had when you were 2 and 15 and 23.
Okay.
Right? It's in your body.
So it's a body sensation that's reoccurring, and that's how my body sensations are acting.
Exactly, right? So where do you feel it in your body? When I even talk about it, I can tell you're like, it just sounds scary. Where is it in your body?
Where is it in your body?
In your body?
In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your body? In your Everywhere, but more like in my throat, like you can't breathe, like there's a knot in your throat.
Okay. So what I want you to do is that when you feel that feeling, when you feel like you need to control, when you need to put those boxing gloves on, I want you to like gently put your hands up around your throat area, one hand, two hands. And I want you to practice self-compassion. Okay. So here's what that looks like. I'm giving you a tool, right? It's looking at the adult, right, Irene, and you could do this. I would recommend that you actually do it out loud. So you go into the restroom, you do it in your bedroom, you do it sitting in the bath, in the shower, whatever it is. And you literally say out loud, Irene, I understand your suffering. I love you. Right. And you're saying that, you're self-soothing that little girl. So you're connecting to the body experience by actually creating the self-love, the self-soothing that you did not get as the child.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like you're parenting yourself. Okay. So what most people do is they're like, oh my God, stop feeling that way. Like, that's so annoying. Stop doing that. Get over it. Be strong, or push down those feelings. So your job is to feel the feelings, which is really scary, but I know you're not going to die from feelings. Right? Okay. And I want you to really just understand is that emotional child who got left, there's a body experience. It's a trauma, right? And it's happening. And so what you need to do is you get out of the monkey mind of your brain by having a body experience, right? So putting your hands on your heart, putting your hands on your neck where you feel that, and actually saying out loud your name, and then saying, I understand you're scared. I understand your pain and suffering. It's going to be okay. I love you.
Okay, got it. I will take that on.
Okay. And when I do this myself, when I coach my clients to do it, you might find actually that you cry, right? Because it's very healing to it's like basically what you're doing is you're wrapping your arms around yourself and saying like, I got you. It's okay. Comforting that little girl.
Okay. Got it.
So your homework is really to focus on how can I start feeling my feelings? And so I want you to practice feeling pain.
Practice feeling pain. Okay. Yeah. Instead of resisting it for everything, I have to feel it. Okay. That's definitely going to be something to take on.
It is. And you might not, practice it at first with, a guy that you're dating, but maybe it's even something that happens at work and your default reaction is to like blame or like put those boxing gloves on or get defensive. And you might just go home, go sit in your car and just sit there and be like, wow, I feel scared. I feel mad. I'm feeling pain. Where is it in my body? Locate it and self-soothe.
Okay. So you're telling me to be with whatever with emotions or body sensations I'm being with, opposed to the automatic resisting them. Like you said, don't feel that or don't do that or give it up or whatever.
Exactly. Because, and I'm going to, as we wrap up here, I'm going to bring it back to the bigger question that we started with, is that strong guy, that alpha guy that you want, he needs to, and he wants to create intimacy. Intimacy is literally like neurologically impossible without vulnerability. And if you are forever protecting yourself against vulnerability, intimacy is going to be impossible.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Because he's not going to be with me. He's going to be with my reaction or my protection barrier.
Yeah, and that's great if you want to go watch the football game and drink some beers and be like, woo, right? But, for you, and when you get in that relationship, right, it's going to be about consistency. And your authenticity is definitely that strong, successful businesswoman for sure. But what we need to do is part of that authentic you is that the girl, the woman, the vulnerable soft side. And that just got tragically sort of cut off at the knees when you were really little. So I'm not telling you to be a girly girl or be something you're not. What I'm telling you is to be brave enough to really be who you are.
Okay. I hear that. I got it. Okay.
Do you feel it? Is it sinking in?
It is sinking in, and I'm hearing it, and I'm also resisting already what you're telling me to do, because it's something that will take some action and some time to do.
Absolutely. It's baby steps, and it is practicing in non-triggering situations. Right. So don't start off with the guy that you have the biggest crush on. Start off with things that don't feel like quite so scary, with friends, with family members.
Okay.
So what's your takeaway from our call today?
Many things is being more, one is caring for the little child, the girl inside of me, and, being okay and pretty much healing her and dealing with that, and being more vulnerable with men, and not so much of the business person or that for a relationship. There's different times to have it, and not have my boxing gloves, my protection on for everything, and working in that space.
Okay, awesome. This is about Feelings 101. That's your job. That's your homework this month.
Okay, I will take that on.
Well, I appreciate you being in the den. I think that so many women relate to this because, we have these misconceptions about what it means to be feminine. And really, in the end, it doesn't really matter because it's all a bunch of crap to just help cover up our feelings about being hurt. And hurt is part of being in relationship, whether you're dating or you're actually in a relationship. Feelings are feelings. And so I think it's really awesome that you are brave enough to let it sink in and be willing to give it a try. So I'm glad that you're here, and thank you for inspiring so many other women.
Thank you for having me and your time and everything. I appreciate it.
All right, ladies. So thanks to Irene. Come back next time for more fun in the dating den. And in the meantime, date with dignity. Love you all. Bye-bye.